You have no care for. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Turns out that my intro for today did not go as planned, but we're actually going to go ahead and put together the look that you guys see on me here. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my cat and jump right into the makeup. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, get off me. Get off me. First things first, like always, we're going to go ahead and moisturize and prep the skin. I'm going to go in with the L'Oreal Hydra Genius Daily Moisturizer, and I'm going to put this all over my face. For today's video, we're going to focus a lot on the face. It's not going to be a very dramatic eye look, so I'm going to make sure that my base is very, very flawless, and the first step to achieve that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we are moisturized, that we are prepped, and that we are primed. So I'm going to go ahead and rub this moisturizer in all over my face. And once we have this one in, I'm going to go in, as per usual, with the OleHendrickson Counterbalance Oil Control Hydrator. And this gives me moisture as well as a little bit of skincare too. So similar to the other one, I put this literally about everywhere, but I don't use as much of the OleHendrickson as I do of the L'Oreal moisturizer. And then today, we're actually going to go and take a little mini cracker break. Once the face is nice and moisturized, I'm going to go in with the Luscious Angel Eyes Eyeshadow Primer Base. I'm going to go ahead and dot this on the eyes. And once I dot it on both eyes, I'm actually going to go in and blend it out with the Morphe R13. I mentioned this in my last video. You definitely don't have to blend this out with a brush, but I like the look that it gives, so I do. So I'm just going to put this on both eyes, and then we're going to move right back onto the face. Moving on to face primers, I'm going to start with the CoverFX Blurring Primer, and this one I'm going to place it on my fingers, and then I'm going to concentrate the majority of this product on my T-zone, so nose, around the nose, chin, forehead. I think that this primer is pretty great for blurring out those really porous areas, so I'd like to just rub this in and make sure that I look nice and smooth. And then I move on to my second primer, which is the Dr.Brandt Pores No More Illuminizer Primer. And this one I do focus it on the outskirts of my face. Remember that today is very base focused. So I like to make sure that I look nice and smooth all over. Once I have that on, I'm actually going to go in with the Iconic London Illuminator in the original color, original shade. And I'm going to dot this kind of in the areas that I usually highlight, so tops of my cheekbones, top of my forehead, and my chin. And this is just so that when I go in with my highlight later, it's extra beaming. So I'm going to first rub it in with my fingers, and then I'm actually going to go in and use a sponge to kind of blend it out and even it out on the skin a little more. Now that we're going into foundation, I'm going to use my little Holy Duo, the Hourglass Vanish Stick in the shade Warm Ivory. I'm going to line this all over my face with concealer. This foundation has amazing coverage, so I'm just going to put this all over. And then from there... I'm not drawing a butt. I'm not drawing a butt. No, we're not drawing butts, Kiabeth, but we're going to go in with the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the shade Warm Beige. And this I'm going to dot it all over, and then I'm going to buff it out with my sponge. Again, I'm using a little bit more foundation on this video than I have in the previous one. But again, that's because I want this to be very base centered. I want to have a super, super flawless base, since, you know, we're not going to have a super dramatic eye to distract from any imperfections. So I'm going to go ahead and buff this out all over with my sponge, and then we'll move on to concealer. Once my foundation is nice and blended out and I've gone in, you know, as much as I want, I'm actually going to go ahead and spritz my sponge with the Morphe Set and Prep Spray, or Prep and Set Spray. And then I'm going to pounce this all over. You'll see me do this a couple times in this video, and I just think that doing this multiple times on the face kind of just leaves you very, very flawless and makes things really easy to blend. And so then I'm going to go in with concealer, and I'm going to start with the Becca concealer in the shade Sesame. Put this lower down on under my eyes, and then on my chin, on my nose, and my forehead. This is a really, really thick concealer, so it gives you super, super great coverage. And from this one, I'm going to move on to the NARS Radiant Concealer in the shade Custard. And this one I like to put it really, really tight under the eye to conceal and brighten. And this one is not as thick, but it's super, super creamy. The coverage is still really, really great, but I like to dot this on top of my forehead as well, my nose, under my nose, and on my chin. And then I blend that out as well. And then for just some added dramatics, I'm going to go ahead and conceal kind of in the area where I usually clean up my contour and my bronzer. Again, this is just so that when I go back in later, there's already some kind of guideline there and things aren't just meshing together. And now to set the face, we're going to use the Lancome Long Time No Shine Loose Setting and Mattifying Powder in the shade Translucent. So I go ahead and dump a whole bunch of the product on the cap, and then I pick it up with the flat end of my Morphe sponge, and then I just start pressing it into the face. With this method and using a damp sponge just at the face, it kind of avoids you know, looking super powdery the way you would with a brush sometimes, I think. And since I've already also wet the sponge a little bit with the Prep and Set Spray, it already just has that added moisture, and so it just helps make the face look super, super, you know, smooth, even, clean, and not powdery. And here we go again, just spritzing the sponge and pouncing the face. I don't know if I do this after every single different step, but I definitely do this a lot for this look, just to kind of continuously melt everything together. And now we're going to bronze. So using a Morphe E2, I'm going to go to the ColourPop and Alexis Ren bronzing collab in the shade Topaz. And I'm just going to go ahead and warm up the entire face with this.
These guys care about you.
Hey, Mom.
And my mom's conversation is done. So we're just gonna go back to bronzing. I like to concentrate the majority of this on kind of on the back end of my face, but I do bring it in, not high under the eyes, but I do bring it in a little bit in the center of the face to make sure that we are nice and warmed up. And then we're gonna move on to contour. For today, after I pick up my messes, I'm gonna use the KatVonD Shade and Light palette. I'm first and foremost gonna go into that middle shade that we're hitting pan on, Shadow Play, and I'm gonna go ahead and concentrate this on the highest points of the kind of shadow or kind of shallow area I already have on the side of my face, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down. I'm also gonna contour a little deeper on my forehead today, and yeah, just make sure that we're nice and even and that the contour is to our liking. Once our face is nice and bronzed, I'm going to move on to blush, and I'm going to use the Laura Geller blush in the shade Tropic Hues. I'm going to pick it up with my Morphe Y4, and I'm going to start blushing up the cheeks. So I do center this on, or concentrate this on the apples of my cheeks, but I do tend to move it back a little bit.
I would be happy to be my pleasure. Do.
And once my cracker break is done, I'm going to pick up a different blush. I'm going to pick up the Note blush, or Note, I don't know, in the shade 05 Desert Rose. And I'm just going to go ahead and just intensify my blush a little bit with this. And once that's nice and done, I'm going to just clean up that contour blush area with the flat side of my brush, picking up again my Lancome translucent powder and just making sure that this is nice and clean. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to highlight. So I'm going to pick up first my Becca highlight in the shade Prosecco Pop, and using just a really old Eco Tools blush, I'm going to go ahead and start up with my highlight. I always do this just to kind of give my highlight a really pretty base, and then I go in with a more blinding highlight.
My wife was over the years. He got fired for protecting my wife from a jerk in the warehouse. It's alright. But you know him. He's a good guy.
It's not fair.
But I'm going to go ahead and pick up my Forever Young highlight from the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Nicole Guerrero collab, and just intensify that beam of light that I want on my face.
I'm not gonna go through this again. What up? We started.
We're going to go from no brows to brows. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and just wipe off the kind of little baking cleaning thing that I had going on with my Morphe R0. And then I'm just going to pick up the light shade from the KatVonD palette. It's called Lyric. And just kind of brighten up the under eye a little bit more with this brush. And I'll tell you what it is. It is from Crown. And just to use this to lighten up the under eye and just clean up the lower half of my face. Now we're going to go into my favorite thing in the entire world, which is my Morphe and James Charles palette. And I'm going to go ahead and do what I didn't do in the beginning, which is set my eyeshadow primer. I'm going to use the shade Canvas to go ahead and do this. And I'm just going to use my super old brush to go ahead and kind of, if you see the creasing on my eyes, just kind of fix that and just set the eye for the rest of the eyeshadow. And picking up an M441 brush, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Punch Me first. I'm going to go ahead and just place this on the outside of the eye in circular motions and then start blending that kind of transition shade all over the crease, just to go ahead and make sure that we have a nice base to, you know, blend out the other shades of the eyes. Again, I go in and I dip my brush into the shade and I place it on the eye with circular motions. The next shade that I'm going to jump into is actually Mary. So in person it looks a little brown, but it is kind of like a pinky tone shade and it has some red undertones. And I'm going to pick it up with an M453 brush. Pick up the pigment, kind of place it on the eye first, on the lower end there, and then just start blending that out and then into the center inner corner of the eye. And I blend it out using circular motions, just kind of continuously going back into the pigment to intensify it, but always making sure that the, you know, all of the color I have on the brush is off before I do that. Do that on both eyes, again concentrating the majority of it on the outside and then slowly working it in. As I usually do, I'm going to quickly go back in with my M441 and pick up Punch Me again and just bring that transition shade back into the crease. I want to make sure that there's a nice even gradient, that we don't have harsh lines between the colors. And once I have that nice and good, I'm going to go ahead and pick up an M522 and I'm going to pick up the shade Tune. And this I'm actually just going to go ahead and put it all over the lid of the eye. So it is a very simple look, but I tend to take my time with it just as much. So I go ahead and place this, concentrating it on the inner corner and just blending that out on the lid as well. Once Tune is nice in there, I'm actually going to pick up these two colors, 518 and Rusted from the palette, and I'm going to use a JH34 to kind of just go ahead and put this on the outside of the eye. This kind of gave it a little bit more of a brighter, more reddy, orangey look, and so I just bring some color into it instead of that kind of mauve-y pink that I had on there before with Mary, and I think that this just made it, like, you know, this is still a simple look, but it gives it a little bit of a pop of color. And once I have those two colors laid down, go back in with my flat brush and pick up Tune again, just so that it doesn't get lost within everything. And moving on to the lower lash line, I'm first going to go ahead and pick up a small pencil brush, and I pick up Tune for whatever reason. Not that it shows up on my eye, but you'll see me do that right here. And then once I have Tune all over the lower lash line, I'm then going to go in with Mary, and this one obviously does show up. I'm just going to blend this and buff it out. I do kind of make it, kind of bring it down pretty low on the lower lash line, just enough that it shows and it kind of ties the whole eye look together. Then I go back and pick up Tune really quick to kind of buff out that red. I highlight my inner corner using the shade Face and my M506. And then you throw on some eyeliner, lashes, and mascara, and this look is done. Oh wait, I did it to put on lip gloss or lipstick. One moment, please.
guys, so this is the finished look. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I really appreciate you guys watching my video. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and head out now to meet my family, but if you guys did like this video and you guys like my videos, go ahead and leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave your suggestions in the comment box down below. I'd love to know what you guys like to see me do, try, figure out. So if you guys want to see something different, maybe with the hair, I don't know, whatever floats your boat, whatever cracks your cracker, I don't know. Stop it. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching my video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
What you making bread? No, I'm not making bread.
What you making bread?
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I got to go. I got to go, and here I am talking shit to myself in the camera. I swear to God.